Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimale here in Abuja. It's one of those days that we'll be talking about solutions, not only for Nigeria. Where Nigeria is a giant of Africa, yes indeed, but where Nigeria goes, the rest of Africa also goes in that direction. And so tonight we'll be looking at an issue of leadership, a major question about the development of the continent. And one person that knows so much about it studied war, and you understand that when you study war, you understand strategies. What are his thoughts about this book? Tonight, we'll be dissecting it on this program tonight. Of course, we'll be getting to know the minds of the Trade Union Congress. They are warning the federal government about tariff hikes, and they've said, stop all tariff hikes now. So we know whether the Tinubu government will yield to that word. But first, before we get started with our conversation tonight, let's get to see some of your political roundup stories.
The House of Representatives is asking the federal government to immediately halt all divestment processes by international oil companies until their historical, environmental, and social liabilities are addressed. The House, through a motion of urgent national importance by the Minority Leader, Kingsley Chinda, expressed concern that these oil companies damage the environment. The lawmakers also want the federal government to ensure that no divestment proceeds without transparent consultations with Niger Delta communities and state governments. Meanwhile, the House says it has received 31 requests for the creation of new states. The Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, has called on President Bola Tinubu to release the embattled leader of the indigenous peoples of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, from detention. Kalu made the appeal while briefing journalists after the inaugural meeting of the House of Representatives Committee on South Development Commission at the National Assembly Complex in Abuja. The National Disciplinary Committee of the People's Democratic Party has summoned former Governor of Benue State, Mr. Samuel Otom, and the embattled National Secretary of the party, Mr. Samuel Anyanwu, to appear before it on Wednesday, February the 12th for questioning. The summons followed petitions from some members of the PDP regarding the conduct of these prominent party men. A statement signed by the chairman of the committee, Mr. Tom Ikimi, notes that the PDP Disciplinary Committee has considered 5 petitions so far, and the first set of petitions are against some key members of the National Working Committee, while the second set is against Mr. Otom and Anyanwu. In Anambra State, some members of the People's Democratic Party have thrown their weight behind Mr. Sunday Ode Okoye as the party's national secretary and Mr. Peter Mba as the leader of the Southeast Caucus. A resolution was taken during the inauguration of some standing committees of the party in Awka, the Anambra State capital. Speaking during the program, the state chairman of the party, Mr. Chidi Chidebe, notes that the meeting is targeted at strengthening the party ahead of the 2025 governorship election in the state. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has failed to present any witnesses at the Edo State Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal to defend its declaration of APC and its candidate, Monday Okpebolo, as winner of the governorship election in Edo State. The electoral body, through its team of lawyers led by former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Kanu Agabi, told the tribunal that it would not produce any witness to testify on its behalf. Mr. Agabi made the disclosure barely 24 hours after the commission told the Justice Wilfred Bochi-led panel that it had a lineup of 5 witnesses that would give evidence to support the result it declared in favor of the governor. Consequently, the panel adjourned the matter till Monday, February the 10th, for Governor Okpebolo to open his defense.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. So today, it was a well-attended event. It was using one stone to kill 2 birds. An organization was set up today, and as well, the launch of a book. Kayode Fayemi and wife today were at the center stage at the Transcorp 8 in Abuja, where several leaders, including the Vice President Kashim Shettima, spoke, and former South African President Thabo Mbeki also gave a keynote address at that event. It was well attended. Political figures across the country were there to honor Kayode Fayemi and his wife. The book, If This Giant Must Rise, Interventions on Leadership and Governance in Africa, was launched. A lot of ideas as to the mind of Kayode Fayemi and the former governor, who has also became a minister at some point, and how governance, not only in Nigeria, should run. Some of his views as to how the political party APC emerged, which it played a major role. The question as to how the party can move from an election machine to a really organic political party. These are some of the issues that are raised in the book. But let me allow you to listen to what the Vice President Kashim Shettima said today.
We are not a testing ground for experiments, but equals in co-creating solutions. As we ponder the Fayemis, let us channel their restlessness. Let this symposium be remembered not for its eloquence, but for its ignition. It's time for Africa to stop debating ideas and start deploying them. The Amandla Institute must become a command center for the continent, turning thinkers into doers, policies into progress, and Pan-African ideals into lived realities. The post-idea world belongs to Africa. It belongs to those who act. Africa must not see prosperity as a gift. It is a price to be won.
All right, that's the Vice President speaking at the event. So let's get talking with Dr. Kayode Fayemi. He's suddenly become Ifamefun, the popular Ogumefun. In Yoruba, Ogumefun, someone who has become a teacher and he's gone back to the classroom, one of his lost love. Dr. Kayode Fayemi is a former governor of Ekiti State and former minister. Thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight on the program.
Thank you, Sean, for finally managing to drag me to Politics Today.
After a lot of dragging, actually. Thank you so much indeed. How is the King's College? I know you are now a visiting professor there.
Oh, it's a fantastic experience. There's no better work to do than to mentor younger and future leaders and provide them with the necessary tools that they will find very relevant in leadership.
Interesting. So you and your wife today, you were out in the eye of the public, and you on one hand launching a new idea to the public, a new book, If This Giant Must Rise, and Mrs. Fayemi also launching an initiative. But what prompted the writing of this book?
Thank you, Sean. I write pretty much all the time.
Writing is your life, actually, isn't
This
it?
is not my first outing, but I decided that towards my 60th birthday, one thing I would love to do was to put together a range of lectures and accounts that I have given in the last 2 years. So this is a compilation, if you like, essays and articles and keynote addresses that I've given in the past 2 years since I left office, reflecting on my time in office and thinking through what the future portends. So that's really what informed what I put out there today.
As a former journalist, of course, writing is not alien to you. But each time you left office, you've written. And the last one was quite not a very, will you say palatable, because as you felt at the time, you said, if this truly is the will of the people, am I right?
Yeah.
That's the book. And I read and saw how your mind was. And you were very notable for being someone who considered defeat, although you didn't agree to how you were defeated at the time. But in this particular book, and I'm seeing a few chapters that are a bit controversial, albeit some of your comments have been seen and diagnosed or analyzed in different perspectives. But what would you say is of a critical, should have a critical attention to the Nigerian public?
Well, the chapter, If the Giant Must Rise, is actually, the title of the book is A Chapter in the Book.
So you use a chapter in the book
as the title of the book. And that chapter actually focuses on the prospects for a new Nigeria. What I think we have to do, right? Nation building is a continuing process, but there are steps that are necessary in order for us to get to where we will find comfortable as a nation. Because Nigeria, yes, you may argue, is a relatively young country. If you go by its flag independence, roughly my age, a little older, but the trajectory that Nigeria has traveled has been more underwhelming than optimistic. And that is what informed that particular chapter, where I highlighted that journey and also dispelled some of the things that have been responsible for our arrested development. Some would say Nigeria is the mistake of 1914. Some would tell you that because we're of different ethnicities, we're not likely to make a headway. Some would argue that democracy is not the pathway to progress. Some would say we need a benevolent dictator. There's a whole range of excuses, what I call excuses, for doing what is right. No nation is formed from birth, lock, stock, and barrel, a perfect nation. Even the one that we refer to in most cases as the mature democracy, let us ignore what is going on there now in the world of America first. That nation still talk about being in search of a perfect future. So, if no nation is perfect from its provenance, and every nation has to continue to improve on that growth, then what is it that we need as a country to make the necessary progress? And I highlighted a number of things: why leadership is important, why planning is central, why there's a whole world of difference between running for office and running the office.
And you, I mean, it's one will sound like a crack record right now, and it's no longer a debate whether or not leadership is a major problem in this climb. On the continent, there are a very popular award being given on leadership. There were about 2 years or so that there were no recipient because there is a dearth of leadership on the continent and in Nigeria. And you wonder, what are some people doing in leadership? And there are sometimes people will say that the worst of us leading the rest of us. When you find the caliber and some characters in government, and you wonder, what are these folks doing right there? How do we fix this leadership problem? The leadership recruitment process is a major nexus that we need to find a solution around. But where do we start from? You've been there, you've done that, all that.
You begin from the beginning. Yes, the leadership succession recruitment program may be a challenge, but the reality, again, is that, I mean, leaders are not necessarily born. Leaders can be made. Leaders can be mentored. And I believe in our own setting, we put a lot of weight on the leader, not on leadership. Leadership is a teamwork. It's not a solo effort. But leadership also must embody processes, procedures, and values. You can teach all of those, not necessarily in a codified manner, but people can learn through examples and by examples. And you can structure that engagement. Part of what Amandla Institute talks about is that leadership matters, but leadership in and of itself may matter, but it's not adequate. if it is not synergized with policy frameworks that can then change the stories of our society and our countries. And that's precisely the point that President Mbeki made this morning when he said that, look, it's not about vision. We have visions, Agenda 2063, Africa Action Plan, Sustainable Development Goals. We know what is right. We know what we want to do. Why aren't we implementing? And the Vice President
the intentionality. People of good character always run for public office. Why?
Well, it's a combination. I came from an activist background. And you could say that I've always been concerned about my environment, which then led me to ask questions, to challenge authority, to ask for accountability, and then got involved in student unionism, got involved in pro-democracy, campaign against military dictatorship, and on and on and on, until I got into politics. But I really didn't get into politics directly like that. I was invited. I was probably one of the few people who got invited to come and run for public office at the highest level. My mentor and leader, Governor Adebayo, literally dragged me, kicking and fighting, to come and share with the people those insights and benefits that he felt I could offer. I too was very afraid of it. The same thing you accuse those you consider to be good in running away from public office. But you can't change society if good people are not part of the driving force of change.
Did you regret going into politics?
Not at all.
Is there something that you wish that you did while you were in public office that, with the benefit of hindsight, that you think, Kayode, I probably would have done this?
Oh, there are quite a number of things that I would have loved to do. I always say to people that in the choice of my successor, I said to the people that I would like to support someone who combines my own passion for rigor in academy with street credibility. I was not that much out on the street. I was the 24-hour focused on getting results governor. And in my successor, Governor Ibanji, you can see that he's managed to balance those things out. He's doing well, committed to those issues that are germane to the development of our state, and he still manages to connect very well with various strata of our society. And you could argue that even if I didn't succeed in all the things that I wanted to do when I was in office, I probably got that right, and he's delivering on that task. But he probably wouldn't have been able to do it if he didn't have somebody holding his hand and driving him through. So mentorship is very critical to leadership development. And you cannot ignore it. People pejoratively sometimes refer to it in Nigeria as godfatherism.
Are you a godfather to
obviously, I'm not. I'm not a godfather. Only God is the father that we all have.
But you've said it that it's been described as godfatherism.
No,
but in the real sense,
in the real sense, it's mentoring. It's mentoring. There's nothing wrong with that.
Is the likes of
I was mentored by Governor Adebayo.
Is Bola Tinubu one of your mentors?
Oh, clearly, but and I have worked together for the better part of the last 3 or more decades. We were in the trenches together. We fought from exile together. He supported my quest for leadership in Ekiti State, and we've remained in the same corner progressively, in the same political party. So clearly, yes, I have several mentors like him.
But why is it that at some point you looked like you were not going to support Biodun Yebanji for second term?
You know that in politics, speculation is the name of the game.
No, but at the church event, you made a statement that got a lot of people worried.
Well, I was very clear about my statement that it was too early for people to start talking about succession and second term. It still needed to do more work and stop from being distracted from focusing on the delivery of public goods to Ekiti people. Anyone who has an inkling of my own thought process would know that there's no reason why I wouldn't support him. But
So,
then
yeah.
I've always insisted that.
So you are on his side?
Of course, I told party people in December that left to me and my family, I'm on Biodun Abayomi Banji's side. And I think that should count for something because I have quite a lot of supporters in the APC. But I also said that that should not be confused with the process, the party process, which allows every legitimate, ambitious person who wants to run for office to run. It's not a statement to debar others from running for that office.
Let me ask you this, and frankly speaking, you have been very blunt in public fora about the state of affairs of the country. And you said something here, going through I was very, very much interested in that chapter. Chapter 4 of this book, you said, moving from an election machine to an organic party.
Yeah.
It does look, the way you describe and the vision of the founding fathers of the APC it's quite different from what is obtainable now. Do you, for a moment, because you've stated it in this book, how a lot of you felt that this party would be, but it's clearly not living the dreams of the founding fathers.
So that chapter to which you referred was actually a speech I delivered to party people. The Southwest Assembly of the APC convened sometimes in October last year, and I was asked to give the keynote address. I don't know how the party arrived at that decision, but they felt I should come and give the keynote address. And all our leaders from the Southwest were there. Chibisi Akonde, Papa Olusi, Governor Segun Oshoba, all our governors, Governor Adebayo, all the political leaders, they were all present, almost 1,000 of them at that session. And I was very candid with my views that this was not the way we envisioned this party. This was supposed to be the quintessential social democratic party, progressive in its ideas, in response to the trickle-down economics that got us into the mess that PDP threw us in this country. And we ought to be doing things differently. And I talked about us ensuring that the party remains a party that drives the government rather than the tail wagging the dog. We have been in office now for 2 years almost. We've won elections since March 1st, 2023. And our party national executive committee has not met once. The constitution of our party is very clear that that body of the party, that organ of the party, meets at least once every quarter. When Chief Bisi Akonde was the chairman of this party, when Chief John Oyegun was the chairman of this party, in fact, under Chief Bisi Akonde in ACN and in the interim APC, we met monthly. Monthly, the caucus and the NEC. When Chief Oyegun was there, we met at least every quarter. So why is it that we aren't meeting? I don't take the excuse that because the president is unavailable, he's busy. The president would always be busy. This is the party. The president can delegate.
It looks like the party machinery is asleep.
Well, I wouldn't quite put it that way.
But I imagine that.
But what I said in my...
There's even a PhD lawyer as a national secretary. And I've said it to the party. Interestingly, it's coming from a party chieftain as you. And I've quoted the portion of the party's constitution that states that there must be minimum of 4 NEC meetings in a year, and the party in 2 years has not done that. That is a breach of the party's constitution, which is making the party live an illegal life.
But that's not even the only concern that I expressed about inorganic nature of our party. I also said that, it's time we have a party school, and the party has done something about that. There is a progressive institute that has now been established under the auspices of our current chairman, Governor Ganduje, and kudos to him for that. But what has that progressive institute done to date? There should be a calendar of programs, as party schools always do. Many people would recall with fondness what used to happen at the Winneba Ideological Institute, established by President Kwame Nkrumah. Many will still remember what happened in the ANC school, which is run by my good friend David Makura now. So we have examples all over the world that we can point to. And our party should be actively involved in the review of what our government is doing so that it matches the manifesto we espouse to the Nigerian public.
So the party is just looking like an election winning machinery.
Oh, because at every election, that's why I said election winning machine. Because at every point, I think it's an Ambra nest. We'll quickly gather some people together, put them on a committee, a presidential campaign committee or a gubernatorial campaign committee, and then put them on the field, and then blimey.
Your party is not doing anything wrong. You know why? Because you have just only stolen the template of the PDP and any other political party that has been in prominence in this country, at least in the last 30 years. Because that is the idea: win an election, run with it, take power, grab the power, and run with it without really conscientizing on the concept of the average person in the society.
That's not what we promised.
No. Your party.
That's not what we promised, Nigerian. We promised change, but I thought you brought me here to actually
but you have not
speak about Africa, not about my party.
No, but like I said,
my institute is going to focus more.
Yeah, but
Nigeria is a big part of
absolutely.
Africa.
Where Nigeria goes, the rest of Africa goes. But the big question here, Dr. Fayemi, a lot of young people will be watching tonight. Are watching, and they're looking, and you sounded, Dr. Fayemi, 60. Where are you running to? Come on.
Well,
it feels like yesterday, and some of us don't think that we don't want it to get old. Get old in that sense. We just want the Kayode Fayemi, the young Kayode Fayemi, the vibrant Kayode Fayemi, the academic Kayode Fayemi. And there are a lot of young people who are watching you tonight who are scared of leaving what they are doing right now, who are doing well in the private sector, doing well for themselves. Some of them are out of the country and are too scared. They want to make impact in the public life, but they do not see the politics and the way it's being run as something viable and something they want to get themselves into. Would you advise any young Nigerian to get into politics in my manner? You people and your friends are running it.
Absolutely. Politics offers the best chance of transformational ideas in any space. I mean, young people, old people can make a difference in whatever they choose to do. The teaching profession, in innovation and creativity in the IT sector, engineering, you can do all that. But one single policy by a politician can destroy everything that you've done. I mean, we see what is happening. I mean, with the greatest respect to the popular majority in America, we see what is going on in that country now. And I believe that we need people who are nurtured, who are provided with the tools and with the acumen to operate on a larger scale. Because in politics, I mean, I used to be an activist, and I still am an activist. We were at the barricades. We promoted and fought for democracy. I ran an underground radio. But what I was able to do in Ekiti affected more lives. In one fell swoop, signing the social security benefit system for the elderly people, our Uwarugbo, or signing off on the free education program for multitudes of children. And I've met many of those in higher education, in professional life outside. They're doing well for themselves, for their family. But we all need to do well for this society in order to sustain whatever benefits has come to our family. And I believe that politics offers us the best opportunity to be of service to humanity.
There are some things that a lot of people believe that you and some of your friends in the then AC and going into the APC, and you said it, to you, and a lot of people are still making comments about what you said, about what you did to get Jonathan out of power. Indeed, looking back, is there an apology to be made to the Nigerian people?
Oh, clearly, we all have reason. We must apologize to the Nigerian people. We have not succeeded in achieving everything we promised to Nigerian people. And that's not just because we were incompetent because there were other structural impediments that have made things more difficult for us. But clearly, we haven't done enough to make life abundant for the Nigerian people. And for that, I clearly would not hesitate to apologize to the Nigerian people for that. We can do a lot more.
It's a clear failure of the political class.
An apology, well, it may give the feel-good factor, but feel-good vibes or feelings, but that's not really what we need. We need to get our act together, all of us who consider ourselves leaders in that space, because if we don't, the risk we run is higher than the returns we're going to get. And for me, I have been extraordinarily fortunate, I must admit. I've stood on the shoulders of giants. I was brought up by the Enauros, the Hajashis, the Wole Soyinkas of this world. They were the ones who lifted me up as a young man when I started on this journey. And I have a duty, which is why my wife and I have decided to set up a man line and say, I have a duty to the youth of Africa to find a way to enable them to become better actors than I have been.
On the final note, Dr. Fayemi, and tonight, I know that you are a good friend to President Bola Tinubu. Let's call it
my elder brother. It's not, if you describe
friendship,
in Yoruba land,
you are my elder brother, but you're a friend.
Okay, I am, but
but the question here is that let's call it spade a spade. We're on the national stage. Millions of people are watching tonight. Some things are not going right in this country. If you are to speak truth to power, what do you think this government needs to do right by Nigerians?
I think it's a misnomer to always talk about speaking truth to power. Power knows the truth.
Really?
Yes.
Why is it that power does not hack the truth?
Because sometimes there are many mediating factors. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done many good things. We all must acknowledge that. He's been bold to take on some of the most difficult decisions that previous leaders have been reluctant to take on. The fallout of those decisions have caused us huge cost of living crisis. And you know what I'm talking about. Fuel subsidy removal, convergence of the foreign currency, FX window. However, is well-meaning. But well-meaning is not enough in leadership. Intentionality is critical to success. And it's done. Whether you could talk about student loan or you talk about the several efforts around resisting insurgency, taming insecurity, tax policy reforms, increased revenue into the federal coffers. Clearly, some of those elements are there, but they need to come together. And this is where effective policy frameworks go side by side with leadership acumen in order to get a change of narrative to the story. Maybe that's the area where we need to do a lot more.
Dr. Kayode Fayemi, permit me to say a friend, and of course, a former governor of Ekiti State, now has become Ogumefun. Back to the classroom. Thank you so much, and congratulations on yet giving back to the society this lovely piece of write-up. Thank you so much indeed for your time, and my regards to Orelu. Thank you so much indeed. It's good to see you again.
Thank you for having me on your show.
I appreciate it. We take a break, everyone. But when we return, Festus Osifo, the president of the Trade Union Congress, will be joining me. And there is a big warning from the TUC to the federal government. It's a stop tariff hike immediately. We'll be right back after now. Join us again. Stay with us. So today, the Trade Union Congress leaders at a press conference in Abuja are warning the federal government about the danger in the trend of increment in tariffs on different services and commodities. The recent one is the telecoms tariff hike being proposed by regulators and the operators within the sector. So the Trade Union Congress are warning that the federal government should cease all increments in tariffs in the interest of the Nigerian people or face the action from their members. I'm being joined tonight by the president of the Trade Union Congress, Comrade Festus Osifo, is live for us here in our studio. It's good to have you, Mr. President, on our program tonight.
Thank you so much, Sheung. Good evening to you. Good evening to your viewers.
Yeah. It pinches, isn't it? The increment in the tariffs.
Yes.
And we understand that there's another sector that has just gotten a nod in tariff increase.
Yeah, correct.
Can you analyze for us because there are those who will say all of these services and commodities, that the inflation is going higher. Some of these services need a change of price regime, and that's the reason why these tariff increments are necessary. From your own point of view and your union, what are your views on it?
Yes, Sheung, thank you so much for that question. If you remember, just exactly a year ago, February last year, Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, we had a press conference. You know, before we went on to address Nigerians on that subject, we did some research. And part of what we came up with was the root cause to the incessant increment that we have been having. And it was very clear that it bordered on the FX regime and on the exchange rate. So as at then, February 2024, we made, our position was submitted to the SGF. We had a meeting with the SGF, we submitted our positions, and in that meeting, you have the Minister of Finance and all the big wigs, they were there. We made them to understand that if you continue to slide the foreign exchange of the country, that every other thing will start reacting. And that when they start reacting, you may not be able to curtail it. So we had that advocacy, we had that conversation, and they promised that, okay, that they are going to manage it better. If you remember, we were the first to come out early last year to start shouting that whenever there is FAC allocation, that there is a direct correlation between when FAC is released and the slide of USD in parallel market. So we identified that. We addressed the world on that. So now what we are all seeing today, Sheung, are the symptoms that we talked about last year, because we knew that if the forex continuously slide, the cost of things in the market are going to go up. We knew that the cost of the prices of PMS, prices of AGO, prices of electricity tariff, telecoms, they will all go up, because these parts that these people are bringing in from abroad, for example, they import these parts, they are priced in USD. Most of them, because they're international company, so they always look at their P&L. They would put it in Naira, but they convert it to USD. So it was when we knew that it's going to lead to this, that was where we started shouting last year. Abe, after all the shout, initially the dollar started appreciating, but later it slided again. That today it's about 8,500 naira to a dollar. Sheung, if today, for example, if our exchange rate goes to 3,000 naira to a dollar, Sheung, everything you see today is going to move further. The cost of cars is going to be ×2. The cost of all imported items are going to move. And at times, even the things that you produce locally, for you to be able to afford the cost of the items you need, what you will do is that you are going to jack up the price. So that is the root cause that we have identified. So that is why today we did an appraisal, what happened last year and where we are today. If you check the press statement that we released, the communique from the National Administrative Council meeting of TUC, we tied everything back again to the exchange rate. Because even the CBN governor, Sheung, all the financial gurus, internationally, locally, they have all attested that our exchange rate is, that our Naira is undervalued. So if we know that is undervalued, there is a system that we know clearly that CBN could use in making it, bringing it to par where it ought to be. Sheung, today, we are at 1,500. You remember at the time, it was about 1,700. But there was mechanisms they use in bringing it down. If they want to take it down to 1,000 naira, they could. So what we are saying clearly from TUC is this. If our exchange rate goes today to somewhere around 1,000 naira, you see all these increments, there will not be need for them anymore. So that is the easiest way to address all these symptoms. All these are symptoms of the exchange rate regime that we have today in the country.
So, and you were very clear today that if the federal government, you want them to stop the hike now.
Yes.
Immediately.
Yes.
But is that feasible?
Yes.
There's an agreement generally that there's probably a need for the hike. If you listen to, for example, the telecoms operator, they will tell you how long there is being the static nature of the pricing regime within that sector, and how inflation over the years have affected the cost of their service provision. But then nothing has really happened. And you do know that the cost of this particular clothing that you are wearing cannot be the same to 10 years ago for the same fabric, for the same design. It's almost agreed by a lot of people that there is a need in price change.
Yes, Sheung, get it clearly. For example, if you were buying before now, let's assume a Corolla car, an Uber driver that buys a Corolla car. He was buying that car before now, let's say about 4 million naira. But today, the price of that car has moved from about 4 million naira to about 10 million naira. What is responsible, Sheung? What is responsible clearly is the exchange rate. The USD price of Corolla is still the same. The price that the dealer will buy we import Corolla from all over the world is practically the same in terms of USD. Maybe we just imagine an increment. But what has now moved that price from 4 million naira when USD was around 500 naira to where it is today, maybe between 10 to 12 million naira, is that exchange rate regime. So for us, the easiest way to fix all these challenges, the easiest way to fix this problem is when we better manage our exchange ratio. If today the exchange, because what these people are saying is that some of these parts they import them, right? What they are saying is that the AGO they use in firing their base stations, the prices have gone up. So the question is this: why did the price of AGO moved from about 400-500 naira to over 1,000 naira today? The only reason the price of AGO moved like that is the exchange rate. So that is what we are saying, because the price of crude in international market has been relatively stable, because two things feed into the price of petroleum products majorly: the price of crude and your local exchange rate. So now if the price of crude has been constant and the exchange rate move, that is why we are now buying AGO with the amount of money we pay today per liter. So what we are saying is that the easiest way to fix all these so that this price increment will become minimal is when the exchange rate is better managed to somewhere around 1,000 or sub 1,000, because all experts, they've all said that the fair value of our naira, that even the CBN governor attested to at the time, that the fair value of our naira should be somewhere between 850 to about 1,000 naira. And I can tell you, if that happens today, Sheung, the price of PMS would be less than 600 naira. If our exchange rate today moves to that region, it will be less than 600 naira.
But how quickly can they achieve that?
They can. Sheung, they can. Let me tell you what happened.
But why are they not?
Okay. At a time, if you check somewhere last year, the exchange rate was appreciating. It came to somewhere around 1,200. But there were revolts from subnational government. The subnational government, they are now used to exchange rate around 1,500, because that is what gives them more money from FAC allocation. But we have told them that is actually pyrrhic, because why they knew as well that if your naira weakens, that you are going to spend more naira in maybe tarring roads, you will spend more naira in buying vehicles. But where you will not spend much more is actually on employee cost. And in this, most of the government in subnational, they spend between 40 to about 50-60% of their earnings on payment of salaries. So what they have done systematically is that they have encouraged the government to allow the naira to be weakened so that they will earn more money, because if they earn more money, then because about 40 to 50% goes to employees' cost, so that will now reduce. If, for example, they were earning before now, let's say 10 billion naira from FAC allocation, and they were spending, let's assume, 6 billion on payment of salaries and all that, then with the exchange rate devaluation and all that, they are now earning about 15 billion. So what they will now be spending in payment of the employee cost, instead of 6 billion, maybe 6.5 billion or about 7 billion. So they are going to save more money on that. So that was actually what happened, that the exchange rate was not appreciating the way it was again, because they mounted pressure on the system. So we know clearly that it is very, very possible for this to be done. It's very, very possible for CBN to bring out policies that will crash the exchange rate to somewhere that is the fair value. We are not saying
and you think they can do it within the next 1-2 months?
Let me tell you what happened, Shehu. In 2023, after the Naira was floated, if you check, you are going to see stability around about 697 Naira to $1. If you Google it, you are going to see it stabilized in that range between August, September, October, and somewhere close to November. You knew what happened because there was a meeting here in Abuja where the chief executives of the entire banks, they were brought together here in Abuja, and they had a meeting with them. All the people managing our economy, they were all there in that meeting. So they had a meeting, it was in Fraser Suite, where they all sat down together and they told them that we understand that the fair value of Naira should be somewhere around sub 800. So what they should do is that when there is any bid that is higher than 800 Naira, they should reject. That was what banks were doing. Within that 3 months, they were rejecting any bid that was higher than 800 Naira. So Naira was stabilized between about 780 to about 800 Naira within that 3 months. But it was not later, that ceiling was now removed. All we are saying, Shehu, ask yourself, Nigeria has been an import-dependent country. It did not just start today. Probably before you and I were born, we were importing literally everything. So now, what has now changed? What are we importing today that we weren't importing before that has now made our Naira to slide the way it has done? So if we are importing all through our lives majorly, so we cannot now say that because of importation, because of the lifestyle of Nigerians, our Naira to dollar will go to where it is today. We know that CBN has the tool. They clearly do to manage our exchange rate to sub 1,000. And if that happens, Shehu, you will realize that a lot of things are going to go down.
Let me ask you, in the area, with the telecom sector, you know that the telcos are not government parastatals. And one will wonder that whether or not the decision is a business decision.
Yes, Shehu, we are not begrudging the telcos, like as I have said, because as of today, we know that their cost of operations has actually gone up, right? We know very well that the AGO that they are using to fire their base stations had gone up. We know very well that the PMS that they are using has gone up. So we understand that the socio-economic landscape with which they operate has changed dramatically. But what we are saying is that it is government responsibility to ensure that there is stability in your socio-economic sphere. It is responsibility of government to ensure that the economic outlook of the country is quite good and stable. So the tool that they have in achieving that, Shehu, which would the telco prefer? For you to increase your rate by 50% or for your cost of operations to crash? So how will your cost of operation crash if, for example, you are bringing in your full base station and the cost of bringing in your full base station, Shehu, let's say is $100,000, for example. That $100,000, because you make money in Naira. So what will now happen is that today, $100,000 is about 160 million Naira. So you will look for 160 million Naira to bring in a base station. But if the price crashed down, the exchange rate crashed down to, let's say, 1,000 Naira, instead of you looking for 160 million Naira to import a base station, all you will now do is to look for 100 million Naira. So what that means is that there will be savings in that regard. So what we are saying is that government has the tools and the wherewithal to be able to manage the landscape to ensure that the cost of doing business goes down. And one of the ways is that exchange rate, because that is the root cause of the problem.
Yeah, I know that NLC is, there's a committee, 5 members from NLC and the federal government, and hopefully, within the next 2 weeks, they're going to come out with their report. But what you have said today is that the government should stop tariff hike. And you gave a warning that if not, you are going to take action.
Absolutely, sure.
What is the ultimatum you are giving to government?
Yes, you know clearly what we had today is the National Administrative Council meeting of Trade Union Congress of Nigeria. So the NAC is like the National Working Committee, kind of. So after that, we have the Central Working Committee and we also have the NEC. So the NEC will take the final decision. So the NAC was the one that met today that spoke. So where would, just before I came here, I was receiving calls from different government officials trying to explain, and I also explain my position to them. And Sheun, if you speak to most of them behind the scene, they quite understand what we are trying to push. They quite understand these positions. Because Sheun, if you know what the root cause of a problem is, why will you start looking at the symptoms? So all the increment that we are seeing today is actually the symptom of the FS mismanagement. So all we are asking is that let us sit down, let us look at how we will go back to that root cause, because we strongly believe that if that root cause is addressed, there is no need for these symptoms to prop up. The reason government today, let's assume something. Okay, look at what happened in 2023 when the federal government said subsidy was gone. It was true that as at June, July, August, subsidy was actually gone in PMS. But you know what brought back subsidy? It was when subsidy was gone, the exchange rate was around 780 naira to $1. So truly, subsidy was gone. So for 3 months, subsidy was gone. But subsidy came back because the exchange rate now moved to over 1,000 naira.
Through the back.
Yes. Once the exchange rate moves, then the prices must move. If the price does not move, someone is going to pay for it. So if today, if in electricity, government comes up and say today we are removing subsidy, let's say for example they do that. When they are going to do that because they will look at the exchange rate of 1,500, right? But if the exchange rate tomorrow moves to 2,000 naira, the price is going to go up because there is a way you benchmark all these against USD. That's the reality, because there is a standard unit of measurement of money, whether we like it or not. And today in the world is USD. So all we are saying is that if you allow your currency to continuously slide, it will affect us generally. So let us go and treat the root cause, not the symptoms.
On a final note, you will down to, that's what you're telling federal government.
Yes, true.
You will go to the street.
Yes, correct.
How many days are you giving the government to?
Yes, it is the responsibility of NEC. What we have had today is a NAC meeting to bring about the sensitization. After that, we'll have a CWC meeting and NEC meeting. So it's the responsibility of NEC, of TUC, to give a date and to define the next.
And your members are in charge of the oil and gas sector.
Correct.
And some other sectors that
Correct.
are very crucial.
Correct.
To the running of the economy.
Correct.
And so you are holding the government by the jugular.
Absolutely.
That's what it means.
Absolutely.
Is that fair?
No, is it fair for what has been happening to the masses? Is it fair that literally we are living from hand to mouth? So the challenges have been there, the problem has been there, so we must all sit down to clearly find solutions. And for us, we have identified the solution.
Are you trying to make life difficult for Bola Tinubu?
Not at all, not at all. They know that we are political. We are completely apolitical. I, for one, I don't belong to any political party. I've said that severally. So we look for what is to the best interest of the Nigerian workers and the Nigerian masses. What
if they move, because they are proposing 50%, isn't it?
Yes, correct.
So what if they change and maybe reduce it, maybe to 35% or 40%?
That is the symptom. If you treat that symptom, tomorrow there's a need to increase again.
They have to do what you're asking.
They have to go to the root cause, Sheun. If you treat that symptom, even if you move by 50% today, Sheun, if the exchange rate slides, there is still need to move further again for those people to make money. So all we are saying is that we are not focused on the operators. We are saying that government must look at the macroeconomic environment and bring about policies that we help businesses.
But it's not only telcos that are planning on tariff.
That's what I said. They are all symptoms. They are all reactions to the exchange rate. That is the problem.
So all tariff must cease immediately. That's what they want.
Yes, and the way it will cease is by managing the exchange rate better. If our exchange rate today, we can't stop saying this. We started shouting about this early last year. If our exchange rate is better managed, at the end, you are going to see that there is no need for that increment because the worth of a naira will be much more.
Professor Sifo, President of the Trade Union Congress, thank you so much indeed for your time tonight.
Thank you, Sheun.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I wish you and your members the very best. I mean, if this is in the best interest of Nigeria and Nigerians, why not? Thank you so much indeed. But that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Wakimale. I'll see you next time. God bless Nigeria.